Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. First of all, I want to acknowledge Councilmember Fred Brown, who's here with us. Thank you very much for coming. And I want to welcome our county clerk, Don Blevins Jr., and Heather Diefenbach, Executive Director of the Lexington Public Library. Welcome. And we are here today to talk about changes in the way we will be voting this fall. And like everything else, voting is a little different this year, but don't let that stop you. Make your plans to vote and vote early if you can. The clerk's office, the city, and the library are working as partners to make it easy and convenient to vote. We're going to provide some details today on the 3 ways to vote this fall. Those 3 options are in person before Election Day from October 13th to November 2nd, in person on Election Day, or by absentee ballot. And you can return your absentee ballot by mail or put it in a bright blue ballot drop box like this one. Easily recognizable. All voters are eligible to vote by absentee ballot this year. They're easy to obtain, but voters must apply by October 9th at govoteky.com. And I applied for mine about 3 weeks ago, as soon as it opened up. So now let's hear from our county clerk, Don Blevins Jr., and among other things, Don is in charge of elections here in Fayette County. So welcome, Don.
Thanks, Mayor. And that was a brilliant overview of what we're about to do, so I can skip over part of my presentation now. Thank you. So what we're primarily here to talk about today is locations for in-person voting and locations of our drop boxes for our ballots. I first want to say, get the easy stuff out of the way. The drop boxes we've purchased are heavy gauge steel, will be bolted to the ground in their various locations. They are designed for this exact process and have been used by many other states many times. So I'm very confident in their ability to handle the job. We'll have them located under surveillance as well, so we'll be secure. I think the public will have a lot of relief knowing that there will be 6 of these deployed throughout town where you can drop your ballot. I know there's a lot of concern about the post office being able to handle the capacity that we're about to throw at them. So anything we can do to help the post office also helps us, and it gives you the confidence that your ballot will arrive on time. So stay tuned on that for a moment. Let's talk about locations. This is going to be extremely difficult for Fayette County. We are entering this election at an extremely unlucky time for us. Why? Well, there are some obvious locations that we would like to use for a super center, a big voting center where anyone can vote. Well, the obvious one is Civic Center, under construction, rats. So we go to our distant second choice, which for the primary was the football field. No can do. They're going to have SEC football this fall, so we will be kicked out of the, not kicked out, we just won't be available to us at the stadium. Under normal elections, we like to use schools and we like to use churches. The schools are not making a decision about in-person learning until September the 28th, as was reported in the last few days. That's way too late for us from a planning perspective. Further, I'm not sure it's a good idea to mix voters and kids, so we would have to shut down the schools. To do so, therefore, the schools are out. Churches. Normally, churches are a very big help to us. In this particular election, we cannot use them. And the reason is security. The public must rest assured 100% that the ballots and the voting machines are 100% protected, and that includes weeknights and weekends for this particular cycle. So what I've done is basically reduced our number of available locations from lots to very few. That's why we needed partners. So I reached out to the library. I've reached out to 2 other entities that I'll talk about in a moment, but I want to pause and give our executive director a chance to talk about this situation from the perspective of the library. So I'll turn it over to Heather for a moment.
Thank you. One of Lexington Public Library's core values is supporting our democracy, and civic engagement was one of my goals for my first year as executive director. We believe in an informed and engaged citizenship and have long served as a polling location in previous election cycles. This year's election poses many new challenges as we work to ensure that everyone has access to free, fair, and most importantly, safe election locations. To that end, I am pleased to share that the Lexington Public Library's Board of Trustees unanimously voted to allow our Beaumont, Tates Creek, and Northside branches to share as polling locations for the extended early voting from October 13th through Election Day on November 3rd. I want to commend the library staff for their work to accommodate voting while maintaining library services for our customers. Our team is dedicated to our community, and I am proud that we will be able to help all members of this community to exercise their right to free and fair elections in this important year for our democracy. Thank you.
So in our time of need, our partners, our community partners are really coming through for us. After you eliminate all the sites that I talked about earlier, there really is not very much left, and I have to rely on some good, strong partners to get us good locations. The other partner is our own city, of course. We're going to borrow 2 sites from the city. Would you like to announce them, or do you want me to? Okay. We're going to use the Senior Center again. This time we'll be in their multi-purpose room in the back. It's a much bigger space. Won't be by appointment this time. It'll just be a normal voting location. Next, we have the Dunbar Center on Upper Street. That will also be a location for us. Finally, I've made an agreement with the Bluegrass Community and Technical College System to use their Leestown campus. They have a conferencing facility there. If you map these in your mind, you will see that there's more or less a 5-point star pattern around the edge of the city almost at the compass points that would be appropriate. And there's one right in the middle of the city at the Dunbar Center. We are fortunate that it worked out this way because there really aren't any other locations that I could get that are secure, ADA accessible with lots of parking and all the other needs that we have, including security. So this is pretty much the best we could do, and we got lucky in this sense that the locations are located very strategically for our purposes. Last, I'll mention that the drop boxes will be at the 3 library locations. Thank you for allowing that as well. At the Senior Center, at downtown in front of my office right up the street here, and then I have one left over. We were going to deploy at another location, and that didn't work out, so I have to pick one more, and that will be announced shortly. Let's see. Last thing is voter recommendations. What should we be doing right now? We should be registering to vote. As the mayor said, you only have until October the 5th. You should also be checking your registration to make sure your address is correct. And if it's not, you can easily fix that. And then finally, if you're comfortable with it, I need for you to go ahead and request your ballot, get that request in so we can get working on it for you. All of this is available. Everything I just said is available at govoteky.com. Next, because of our situation, our unique situation in Lexington, we have capacity for some of us to vote in person. I know a lot of people are traditional, would like to vote on election day. A lot of people just want to vote in person. That's okay, but we can't all do that. We have the capacity for about 25% of us to do this. So anyone that is comfortable voting by mail and then returning it either via drop box or via the mail, I wish you would do that for us because that will help maintain our load balance the way we need it. Unfortunately, we are opposed in a way to the rest of the state where you will hear the Secretary of State and the State Board attempt to push voters to in-person voting to take the pressure off of mail. We're the exact opposite in the sense that we can handle the mail volume here. It's not going to kill us. What's harming us is our lack of location availability due to our unique circumstances here in town. So really asking people to vote by mail. Last, we've had a rash of the usual things where some nice people and some not so nice people are contacting voters either via social media or via the U.S. mail. I just want to remind everyone that if it doesn't come from me, your county clerk, the Secretary of State, or the State Board of Elections, you are to 100% disregard it. No one else should be communicating with you about your right to vote. And with that, Mayor, I think I'll stay for some questions and whatever and turn it back to you.
I want to thank our county clerk, Don Blevins Jr., and thank Heather Diefenbach. As usual, a good partnership that's collaborative is winning the day on this, and I just thank both of them. And any of us are willing to take questions now. So what questions do you have for the county clerk or Heather or myself? Any? Yeah, Michael.
Don, how many ballots have you received so far as of this morning? Ballot requests have you received as of this morning?
Yeah, we'll let you take the mic.
So we've had a little over 52,000 ballot requests so far, but Daniel, I got to tell you, we haven't really pushed the advertising on this yet, so it's going to really escalate pretty quickly. I'm going to go ahead and pre-answer your next question. Yes, we're already putting the packages together, and yes, the ballots are already going out. Yesterday was kind of our get our sea legs day. Today we're hitting it hard, and tomorrow we're going to hit it hard and try to get down the backlog.
So there have been ballots put into the mail as of
Yeah. We will be the first in the state, by the way, by a fluke. It so happens we produce our own ballot labels here. That's what some of the 12 election officers are doing for us even as we speak, putting the ballot packages together. The rest of the state probably won't receive their first round of labels until Monday, so they're going to be delayed behind us a few days.
Okay, and then you got a lot of grief during the primary for really long lines at UK, where people had to wait more than 2 hours. Are we going to be seeing really long lines again this?
Well, I hope not, and here's why. The problems at the primary were because of two classes of voters. About every third or fourth voter was one of these two types of people. It was an independent voter that didn't realize they didn't have anything to vote for. It takes a couple of minutes to explain it to them. They get mad in some cases. We had to have one man removed. That holds up the line every time you have that conversation. Secondly, we had a lot of people request a ballot, get their mailed-in ballot, and then come out to Kroger Field and attempt to turn it in and trade it in because they wanted to vote in person. You cannot do that this time. It won't be, we didn't allow it last time either. So we're going to do a pretty strong media blitz on, if you request your vote by mail, you're done. You're not going to vote in person to make sure that doesn't happen. If we can achieve those two, the independents obviously won't happen this fall because they'll have something to vote for. I think we'll be okay.
Are the 6 locations set in stone, or would you consider adding another?
I would call that a minimum, and I can't say more than that.
So of the 6 in-person voting locations, what is a ballpark figure? How many do you think will come out and vote in person at those 6 locations?
Well, I'll say it this way. They have a capacity for approximately 50,000 voters. That's kind of max capacity. So if we vote less than that in person, we should be okay. And that's, again, why I'm saying don't wait till Election Day. You're going to have a bad day if we all do that.
What would the average wait be, do you think? Maybe 20, 30 minutes?
You're going to have to look in your crystal ball and think, figure out who's going to vote how. I have no idea. I hope not at all. I mean, we're trying to set up streamlined operations. We've got these cool devices called electronic poll books to check people in and figure out what their ballot is. We should be able to check people in quickly. A reminder that we're using our brand spanking new election machines this year, so we're all paper. So people will be filling out paperwork instead of doing our old clunky wheel machines, and that should go faster.
What was the percentage in the primary of how many came in by mail versus how many numbers?
95 to 5%. And I can't tell you how proud I am of Lexington for doing that. That was amazing. I had no idea we would pull that off. And if we do that again this time, great. That's what we want.
Just to clarify, people will be able to go to any of these locations?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Daniel. You're right. All of these voting locations are what are called super centers. You can go to any one of them and vote. You don't have to go to a particular one for your precinct. And I know we'll get some questions from the public about this. No, you can't vote twice. We have these devices will detect once you've voted, and once you've requested your ballot, you cannot physically do that. I'd like to point out that in Georgia, in the last week or so, you may have seen that like 1,000 voters were able to vote twice, and the Secretary of State there was calling it a criminal act. It is, But why wasn't his system designed to prevent it in the first place is my question. We have that here. You cannot do it.
Sorry, is there somebody else?
She's got one.
And what times can the public go vote at the library?
Great question. Monday through Friday, this is true for all locations. Monday through Friday, you'll be able to vote from 8:30 to 4 p.m. On Saturdays, we're going to open those hours as well, 9 to 1 on Saturdays. That is true for all the weeks from October 13th to the day before Election Day. And then, of course, on Election Day, we do 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. We will have folks stationed at the drop boxes on Election Day at 6 p.m. It'll look just like a poll. So the last, right at 6 o'clock, the door's locked, and whatever's in that box is what we count. Daniel, you had another one?
How many voting locations would you normally have?
We normally have, now this is for a one-day, Election Day kind of thing. We normally have somewhere between 145 and 150.
You got a lot of grief recently after really testing positive in your office for COVID-19. Do you feel like you have a contingency plan moving forward where if this happens again, there's not going to be any delays?
Well, yes is the answer. However, there's not really a contingency plan possible here. When I lose these people, I lose the only election expertise I have. This is the one resource that we're limited on. If you think of the classic triangle of project management, you can modify time, resources, or what the scope of the thing you're building. Well, scope is set here. We have to do an election. Time is set, the dates are set. So the only thing we can modify is resources. Well, resources are fixed here too. That's literally the 7 people, including the one I'm terrified for. If she passes away, that's the nightmare every manager in this city is worrying about, including these 2. That's a nightmare we all have to face by being open to the public. How about we stop here? I want to make an offer. These 2 have better things to do, and I have a feeling you're going to be peppering me with questions. Why don't I step aside? I'll stay as long as you all want. If you all have questions for them, grab them real quick so that they can go. How about that?
Thank you all for coming. Let me get my notes. Thank you, John.